I am Ray, and I got a quick little video for you today on how to survive a panic attack. Now don't panic. I'm panicking. Now, a little try to keep my composure. A little lesson in biology. This is not working. What is that? Let's just define what okay. Let's define a panic attack. You could look at it as hyperstimulation. Now, there are fundamentally two types of energy. There is order and there is chaos. A panic attack. One may look at a panic attack as excess order. Order is the force of life. Chaos is the force of death. Entropy, energy. So a panic attack is too much energy without a proper channel for it to flow. What I mean is that it's a lot of energy with nowhere to go. Once we realize the type of energy that a panic attack is, we can return to balance, to harmony, through implementing the opposite energy. You see, life with a capital L is the balance between order and chaos. Death energy and life energy. Whereas death with a capital D is the imbalance of these two forces. Life is harmony, death is inharmony. We want harmony. It's not working. Let's return to balance. Messed up the camera. Okay, apparently, this requires a spray. Now, I often say that we are all instruments of God, and our life is the song. And whether or not our song is in harmony, and whether or not our song, and whether or not our and whether or not our song, our life is in harmony, is determined by whether or not we are in tune. If we have excess orderly energy, this is being too fast. We're one step forward off beat with the flow of life. And if we have too much chaos energy, it's too slow. We're one step behind off beat with the flow of life. But with perfect balance, we are in perfect flow. So, when you are having a panic attack, things are happening too fast. We need to slow ourselves down. How do we do this? The mind is controlled by the breath. The breath is life, and life is energy. One way I like to look at it, although I'm not sure how scientifically accurate, one way I like to look at it is that oxygen is life, while carbon dioxide equals death. Death force, life force. So order, chaos. Too much carbon dioxide, imbalance, you die. Too much oxygen, imbalance, you die. You want the perfect balance between carbon dioxide and oxygen. So what happens when we get into a panic attack is that we hyperventilate. We take in too much oxygen. And that is not good. In order to return to balance, we must calm the body down by not only controlling the breath, but slowing it down and taking longer exhales and shorter inhales. So a few things are important. First, let's say harmony of breath. What this means is that if your breath is irregular, if it's not consistent, it's not in harmony, and that will create problems. So you want to do consistent, controlled breaths. We want slow breath, and we want longer exhale. We want to take in less oxygen, and that will help relax the body. One quick tip, for instance, if you have trouble sleeping at night, you can slow down the breath, which will lower your brainwave frequencies. We'll get to that in a second. And that will help ease you down, calm and relax you. But in the morning, if you want to wake up, you breathe more, you take in more oxygen. and that wakes you up. So remember, we want to control the breath, because when we're in a panic attack, when we have anxiety, our breath is all over the place. Sometimes we're breathing too slow, sometimes we're breathing too fast, we're not paying attention to how we breathe. And then we want to control the breath and slow it down, and longer exhales. One example might be, what you don't want to do is this is frustrating. I guess I'm not a very good example. Maybe it's just a pen, or maybe it's just me. Avoid taking deep breaths, because you'll take in a lot of oxygen, and it can make your anxiety worse, so they say. And avoid fast breaths. So for instance, if I wanted to wake up early in the morning, I would go something like this. Not good for anxiety, but good for waking you up. Slow, relaxed, harmonious breathing. Because look, this is a body problem. I mean, you might have spiraled into a panic attack because of your thoughts, but fundamentally the issue is with the body. Important points: body and brain waves. Let's start with the brain waves. Brain waves, cycles per second. So brain waves are electrical impulses in the brain. So our brainwave state is determined by how fast those brain waves are vibrating. Now with the breath, you can control your brainwave frequencies. And if you may have guessed, your brainwave frequencies determine your state of mind. So when you are in delta consciousness, you are in deep sleep. When you are in theta consciousness, you are in dream sleep or deep meditation. Alpha, you are awake but relaxed. This is like shortly after waking up in the morning, say 20 to 30 minutes. This is when you're awake and alert. And this is a super conscious state. Now think about it this way. Imagine the beta state of mind like a gazelle. How does a gazelle act? It's anxious. It's a prey animal. It's got to always be on the lookout for danger. This is where anxiety resides. But think about the alpha state and imagine a lion. Does a lion have anxiety? No. A lion is chilling. It's having a great time. It's relaxing. It's at ease. Why? Because the lion is the king of the jungle. It doesn't have any enemies. Maybe some hyenas. But how do hyenas act? They're a bit beta. Why? Because the hyenas are scavengers. They have to worry all the time. The lion is the king of the jungle. So it has no reason to be afraid. It has no reason to be anxious. And so if you struggle with anxiety, or if you are having a panic attack, what needs to happen is we need to slow ourselves down and enter into the alpha brainwave state through the breath, because you cannot have anxiety and be in a dominant alpha state, because anxiety is the opposite of being relaxed. I mean, I'm sure you know this. If you are in a state of heightened anxiety, you know that you need to calm down, but maybe sometimes it just doesn't click that we need to slow our brainwaves down. We need to relax our body through the breath. And if you can practice this, then it will become easier and easier to destroy anxiety. And so it may take you some time to get in the flow of controlling your breath, of focusing your attention on your breath. It all begins with awareness. Awareness of how you're breathing. One thing I always notice is that whenever I begin ruminating on some thoughts, I focus on my breath and I realize my breath hasn't been as coherent as I'd like it to be. And what I presume is that whenever my breath goes out of coherence, meaning out of harmony, not stable, that is when more anxious thoughts arise. Now that's just my assumption, but let's move on. You see, the body, its number one goal is survival. So if you are perceiving a threat, it will force you into anxiety. Because imagine if the gazelle wasn't afraid. Imagine if it didn't have anxiety. It would get eaten by the lion without effort. So the body, keeping you in survival, forces you into anxiety as a survival mechanism. I said that twice. So long as your body perceives a threat, it is very difficult to get out of anxiety. And so in order to stop being perpetually anxious, we must reprogram our unconscious mind. The unconscious mind that is the intelligence of our body. You see, the body is blind. It only knows the information that it receives. This is how it works. The body speaks the language of feelings, and the mind speaks the language of patterns. This is also information, symbols. You get the idea. So, what happens is that when you react to an experience, you are communicating to the body about how it should respond to that experience. In other words, the body is automatic response and the mind is manual response. Now, thoughts will evoke emotional responses. So, it is through your reaction, it is through your thoughts about a situation that causes the emotional response, that sends information into the unconscious, and it gets stored as memory. So, if you have a negative thought, for instance, what will happen is that you react negatively to the thought, and then you evoke a fear response, or shame, or guilt, or any other negative emotion. And so your body remembers. It says, okay, every time this thing, because it doesn't know if you're a human, or a bug, or an animal, every time this thing has a negative thought, a negative pattern, then I know it is my job to evoke a feeling of fear. Because through your conscious reaction to something, you tell your body there is a threat. No different than if there was a grizzly bear chasing you around. Because your body does not know the difference between what is in your imagination and what is outside of you. Because whether or not an experience is out in the world, a grizzly bear is a pattern. And it is the same pattern in your thoughts as it is out in the world. So what happens? You have a negative thought or something, and it evokes an anxiety response. Your body remembers it for later. And so now every single time you have that thought or any similar negative thought, your body will react automatically with anxiety, with fear, and send you spiraling out of control. Because your body needs you to be stuck in fight or flight, so long as there is a threat. Because if there was a grizzly bear chasing you, and you were not in fight or flight, you would have no motivation to run away. The problem is, your body doesn't realize that it's just your thoughts. That it's not a threat. That it's not a grizzly bear. But it doesn't know anything other than the information that you feed it. So if you want the body to stop ruining your life, to stop automatically sending you into a panic attack, into an anxiety response, then you have to change the way you react to your experiences. You have to change the way you react to your thoughts, because it is your reaction that is the problem. It is not the experience, it is not the pattern. How do we change our reaction? That whenever you have anxiety, that whenever you start feeling a panic attack coming on, you change your reaction by slowing and controlling your breath. Because you cannot be in a calm, peaceful, relaxed state and also being chased by a grizzly bear. So, the moment you have a negative thought or a negative experience of any kind, and you immediately get in the habit of slowing down your breath and controlling it and paying attention to it, you tell your body, oh, there is no threat here anymore, because he's relaxed. His breath is slowed down, everything must be good. So it stops worrying about it. Because it's a nervous system response. If you are getting sent into fight or flight, it is because your body perceives a threat. And the two modes of the nervous system are fight and flight and rest and digest. So you want to switch the button. Here you are in stress and fight or flight, and you want to hit the button and go into rest and digest. How? The breath. Slowing it down. Think about the difference between how you breathe when you're getting chased by a grizzly bear versus when you're on the beach, relaxing. It's a nice sunny day. Everything's good. Life is beautiful. Mimic the breathing pattern of a relaxed person, and that is how you switch your body from fight or flight to rest and digest. I am Ray. The sock gets me every time. I am Ray. Visit my cool store in the description. Much peace and many blessings, and remember, just be.